Just wait for that to roll off. Okay, now it's
Well, welcome to Goodwin Park for this National Premier League's Queensland clash between Olympic and the Brisbane Roar Youth. It's a beautiful afternoon in southeast Queensland, a little bit chilly, and that'll only increase as the sun descends behind us. It's just disappeared behind the hill to our west. But nevertheless, the action on the field should keep us plenty warm enough between these two sides, who are in slightly contrasting fortunes of late. Olympic are in 4th spot. They've been going pretty well so far this season, but have had a torrid run of results in their last 5 games. Only won 1 of them, although they are unbeaten in their last 4. Whereas for Brisbane Roar Youth, they're also unbeaten in their last 4, but 2 of those results have been wins against Redlands United and the Brisbane Strikers last week. A bit of a surprise result, that. Nevertheless, it should be an interesting clash between these two as the two teams walk onto the field. We'll run you quickly through the lineup, starting with the hosts. Nick Mooney is in goal for Olympic, and in front of him will be number 2, Jack Glover, number 4, Kristen Waters, number 5, Steve White, number 6, Matt Mundy, number 10, Kieran Sanders, number 11, Jez Lofthouse, number 12, Costa Basaris, number 14, James Cumineo, number 23, Alex Smith, and number 20, Zelfi Nazari. The Brisbane Roar Youth are 1 through 11 as advertised. Macklin Freak in goal, and number 2, Brody Boyce, number 3, Tyson Martin, number 4, Kai Truin, number 5, Isaac Powell, number 6, Adam Sawyer, number 7, Leighton Brooks, number 8, Rahmat Akbari, number 9, Christian Aloisi, number 10, Bryce Bafford, and number 11, Nathan Yoon. The substitutes for Brisbane Roar Youth are Harry Talbot, Ollie Plusnin, number 15, Ezekiel Hawkins, number 16, Cyrus Demi, and number 20, Lachlan Hunter. The substitutes for the hosts: 7, Shelford Dias, number 8, Kazuya Ito, number 10, Danny Byrne, number 19, John Philippe Lassam, and number 21, Dakota Sprange. Of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors. Olympic, they would like to thank the Coffee Club for their continued support over the course of the season, and Brisbane Roar, well, they wish to thank the City of Logan and Luxury Paints for their continued support. This evening's Total Tools referee is Lara Lee, and she's assisted by Zach Keenan and Justin Temple. Brisbane Roar are in their change strip, the blue, their very attractive looking blue change strip. I do prefer that one to the garish orange. Olympic will be in their traditional red and white stripes. It's been a funny couple of weeks for Olympic. They've drawn their last 2 games, 2-2 against Gold Coast United and 2-2 last week up in Cairns. Funnily enough, at this stage earlier in the season, they were in exactly the same boat. They'd drawn those last 2 games by the same scoreline and then backed it up by thumping the Brisbane Roar Youth by 6-0 in the opening game at the Logan Metro Sports Complex. So it's first ever competitive game there in the National Premier League's Queensland. And it was a disappointing one for the Brisbane Roar Youth. They've completed their huddle, the youngsters, and it'll be Christian Aloisi who gets the ball down and will get things underway. The Brisbane Roar in the dark blue will be kicking us off, kicking from right to left, once Laura Lee is happy and satisfied with everything. She checks her watch, and we're underway in the National Premier League's Queensland. That's an interesting start from Brooks, and it's forced a corner off Kristen Waters. Olympic don't have their normal left-sided defender in Shane Stefanuto. Slight conflict of interest for the Brisbane Roar media manager, current Brisbane Roar media manager, former Brisbane Roar left back, played 134 games in the Hyundai A-League, is sitting this one out for Olympic. Now it's just headed off and out of the box by Sanders and Mundy, who wears the captain's armband today for the Brisbane Roar, Olympic. Apologies. Slightly heavy touch there by James Kuminayo, and it's a goal kick. Good pressure from the Roar youth early, and Christian Aloisi has a name to live up to when it comes to football here in Australia. And they're playing for a badge that has plenty to live up to as well. And a successful team in Hyundai A-League history, Brisbane Roar. And this is the future of that side, so plenty to enjoy if you're a casual fan tuning in. I'm Simon Smale, and you can normally hear me uttering inanities during the course of these National Premier League's Queensland fixtures. It's a real pleasure to have you with us, and thank you very much for choosing to spend your Sunday afternoon with us, wherever you are watching. It's just behind Nathan Yoon. A little flick, and it does give Olympic the opportunity to counter-attack through the always impressive Costa Passaros. Nice ball out by Sanders. Here's Nazari. Wasn't named initially, Zelfi Nazari, but has come back into the side. He scored in that round 8 clash at the Logan Metro Sports Complex. Former Balcatta player over in WA. Finding his feet in the National Premier League's Queensland with Olympic, who do sit in 4th spot at the moment, having led the competition for a long period of time. Set up nicely for Steve White, and he wouldn't even get your point, that one. Nice wide and away. We were joking beforehand about the safety of cars. I thought mine was relatively safe, parked out on the street there. There's too many more shots like that. I'll second guess myself. He had plenty of time as well to pick his spot there, Steve White. You'd have thought perhaps the former Central Coast Mariners Academy product would be a little bit disappointed with how that turned out. Nevertheless, it's Macklin Freak who gets play back underway, and what a game he had just a couple of weeks ago in the 1-1 draw with Brisbane City at the Logan Metro Sports Park. I was out there for that one, and an inspired performance from the young keeper. Latterly of Brisbane City. So Brisbane Roar continuing the development of these young players. Speaking of exciting young players, here's one of them, Jez Lofthouse. A lovely turn over on that far side against Martin, who spent time at Olympic, so he'll be familiar with the red and white jersey. It's a throw into Olympic over on that far side. Jez Lofthouse just on his haunches. Incredibly fine player and a real talent. You wouldn't put it past Jez Lofthouse to go on to have some high recognition in the game in the not too distant future, the way he's been playing. As flicked on and just over the top from Alex Smith. He doesn't often need a second invitation, but he'll be fuming with himself for missing that one. Casual defending, a little bit too casual from Brisbane Roar, and Roar Youth will not be able to give the 32-year-old that kind of space. He will punish you. He's scored twice in 5 National Premier League's Queensland games, but managed 4 out of 2 in the FFA Cup. So, real talent has injected a lot of attacking threat to this Olympic side since he's joined. As I said, it's an Olympic side that have faltered somewhat in the last couple of weeks. Ball floats over the top towards Yoon. Yoon, it might be a throw into Olympic, it is. Laurely, our Total Tools official, watched that one well, and Now it's helped up by Matt Mundy to Lofthouse. Strong challenge, but Lofthouse retains possession and sees Costa-Passaros making a run. That's a lovely ball. And Macklin Freak had to get there quickly, and he did well, the young keeper, to just launch that one out. Jack Glover. Doesn't receive the comeback from Costa-Passaros. A light touch. And Rahmat Akbari is caught there, but the Raw retain possession. Here's Isaac Powell. He's forced back to Kai Trewin. Product of the FFA Centre of Excellence down in Canberra. Played in capital football for a fair while. Kai Trewin. Flag is up on this near side, but Laura Lee will play advantage, and the Raw will take it and play the ball around the back with Freak to Trewin. Olympics record here at Goodwin Park has been rather indifferent for a side that are pushing for the championship. They've played 9, won 5, drawn 3 and lost 1, and I hate to say it, for those 4 results that Olympic have dropped points in, I've been present for 3 of them. I'm not sure whether I've got some sort of jinx on Olympic this season, but they've been very impressive otherwise. Here's Adam Sawyer. Threads a pass through to Aloisi. Aloisi goes round Mooney, still with Aloisi! Off the line! Excellent defending from Olympic. It was James Kumineo who got back there to make that intervention. It was a vital one, and now Nick Mooney will comfortably gather that one and launch a counter-attack and get it as far away from his area as possible. That was a really good move from the Brisbane Roar youth, and a really fine effort from Christian Aloisi. He hasn't scored in the National Premier League's Queensland yet this season, for the senior team at least. He's the top scorer for the Roar in the under-20s, who sit 3rd on the ladder as things stand with 18 in just 14 matches. So he knows where the back of the net is, and he very nearly found it on that occasion. Lovely football from the Roar youth, and a real danger for the hosts early. Speaking of danger, that's still bobbling around. I mean, it's taken off the foot of Kristen Waters. And again, Alex Smith hacks that one wide when really he would have been thinking about hitting the target. Another let-off for the Raw youth. Open stuff here in the opening few moments of this National Premier League's Queensland clash. It's still 0-0, but both goals leading a somewhat charmed life as things stand. Beautiful sunset here in southeast corner of Queensland. We're not that far away from Brisbane CBD, just a little bit upriver. For those of you unfamiliar with the geography of Queensland and Brisbane, suburb of Urongpilly. Kieran Sanders, the Englishman, a long way from home. Costa-Passaros, it's cut out though by Trewin. Trewin does well and launches that one forward. It's in the main direction of Christian Aloisi, who's around dangerously on the Olympic backline, and I have to be careful, Olympic. Their backline is experienced, but quite big. Here's Lofthouse. I don't want to say immobile. They've certainly got some legs about them, the Olympic defenders, but these effervescent youngsters of the Brisbane Roar pose plenty of teams, and have posed plenty of teams problems and plenty of senior teams problems. Quite sure Laura Lee wanting to have a chat with Brodie Boyce about there, the former Sunshine Coast junior. Just informing him where the throw-in should be taken from. As a helicopter just flies over the top of the ground here at Goodwin Park. The beautiful sky Sun is well and truly set, and we're expecting another cold one this evening. Cold for Queenslanders anyway, it'll be dropping down into the single digits. Smackling Freak launches this one out on the full, just over halfway, or just under halfway. And Jack Glover gets things going again fairly quickly to his captain, Matt Mundy. That's a nice ball towards Smith. Smith does get the flick down. It's gone to Sanders. Sanders out to Jez Lofthouse. He scored a cracker at the Logan Metro Sports Ground. From a similar position to that, but decided not to take the shot and left it for Kieran Sanders. Here's Glover. White was an option back inside, but instead chooses to spread it to Pasaros. Pasaros, dangerous cross, an acrobatic leap from Macklin Freak. Distribution somewhat lacking though from the raw youngster, and it'll come straight back via Kieran Sanders' boot, or perhaps Steve White's. Olympic choose to play the ball around at the back. Christian Waters now to Glover. Pasaros wants it. Pasaros gets it. Isaac Powell committed, and then Rahmat Akbari managed to mop up. It's his first game since the 12th of May in the senior side. Rahmat Akbari, and here's James Coomey now, and that's what I meant about the pace. They're not slow, but Layden Brooks there really showing the sort of pace that the raw youth possess. And that will be a danger and something that Ben Khan will want to look out for. Decent run, a really decent run from Sanders. He goes down right on the edge of the penalty area. It's going to be a yellow card. I think Tyson Martin had to make that, the former Olympic youngster. That's his first yellow card of the season for the senior side. Of course, a lot of these raw youngsters will be playing up and down the levels. They play in the seniors and under 20s, some of them even the under 18s. A couple of youngsters on the bench, Ollie Plusnin and Ezekiel Hawkins, who've been playing in the 18s, and Cyrus Deme as well. Played a lot of games in the 18s and 20s. This is a real dangerous opportunity for Olympic though, and Alex Smith will be licking his lips at the possibilities from this free kick. Matt Mundy's lurking the penalty area, as is Jack Glover if Alex Smith chooses to cross rather than shoot. Watch out for Zelfin Azari ghosting in at the back post, all on his own. I think Alex Smith has seen him. That's just over the top. Might have been better off putting it towards the back post, where Zelfin Azari was all on his own. Nevertheless, the chance goes begging. It is still Olympic nil, Brisbane Raw Youth nil. You're watching the National Premier League Queensland round 21 clash between these two sides, and it's Olympic in 4th spot on the ladder against the Brisbane Raw Youth, who are in 8th. They were in 4th themselves back in round 8 before getting thumped by Olympic 6-0. That was really the start of a bit of a slide for the Raw Youth. Before that, they had played 7, won 4, drawn 1, lost 2 against Cairns and the Strikers. The draw came against Brisbane City at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. Since round 8 though, they've played 12, won just 4 games then, as the flag goes up against Zelfin Azari this time. In that spell, they lost 5 games in a row between round 11 and 16. They've not played round 12 yet. That's coming up in a couple of weeks against Lions on a Wednesday night, the 8th of August. They lost 6-1 to Pride, 3-2 against Moreton Bay United, 4-0 to South West Queensland Thunder. That was a real shock, and has really helped South West Queensland Thunder get away from the relegation zone and their relegation worries. And then lost 1-0 to Gold Coast United and 2-1 to Cairns. But since round 16, they've been unbeaten in their 4 matches. So something of a revival. A couple of draws mixed in amongst that. A draw against Sunshine Coast, which perhaps wasn't expected. Christian Aloisi attempts for flamboyance and doesn't quite pay off, although it might do now. Here's Akbari. Akbari slides it through to Christian Aloisi, flags up over on that far side, and it went the wrong side of the post from a Raw perspective anyway. But that's a good opportunity for Brisbane Raw Youth, and once again just showing the threat that they possess going forwards. Rahmat Bari pulling the strings in that prominent midfield position. Pesky helicopter buzzes across once more. White, out wide to Pissarros. He'll have a chase on and decides to give up on it. It was a nice idea. Pissarros does find himself in a lot of empty space on this near side, and especially the last couple of seasons that he spent at Olympic after a couple of stints of coming and going. He's spent time at Olympic, then East, and back to Olympic. Spent a season with the Brisbane Roar Youth in 2014. Played 19 games, scoring 1 goal before returning to Olympic in 2015. And as we mentioned, heading to East in the Flight Centre Brisbane Premier League. Here is Pissarros battling. He's got 4 Raw defenders and almost managed to squeeze it through, and then that's run into the head of Alex Smith. I don't think he could have done much about it, the former Wellington Phoenix man. And it'll be another goal kick for the Brisbane Roar. Coming up to 16 minutes or so gone in this first half. It's Olympic 0, Brisbane Roar Youth 0. That is kept in. Helped on though by Matt Mundy. And now played through to Zelfi Nazari. Nazari through on goal. He's taken a heavy touch. It's still there for Jez Lofthouse. And we have the opening goal here for Olympic. It goes to the hosts. And after a decent save from Macklin Freak, Jez Lofthouse was there to poke home for his 11th of the season. Lovely ball through by Mundy towards Nazari. Really nice ball. It was a slightly heavy touch from the West Australian. That allowed Macklin Freak the opportunity to come out, but you've got to be alert to the follow-up, and Jez Lofthouse was there, the former Sunshine Coast junior. He's enjoying his time in red and white stripes. 11 goals in his 21st game of the season in the National Premier League's Queensland, at least. James Kumineo just helps that one over onto the AFL oval over the road. Over the cars, for those of you interested. Boyce will take the throw-in. Would have spent some time going through the ranks at Sunshine Coast with the goal scorer Jez Lofthouse, with Brodie Boyce a year or so behind him. It's a lovely touch by Bafford, and then it's fumbled by Mooney. And unlike at the other end, in fact just the same as at the other end, it's red and white shirts there with the follow-up, and that's a delightful ball by Pissarros. Inside to Sanders, and now inside to Lofthouse. It's well defended by Kai Trewin. Lofthouse could have had a second in as many minutes, and Roar Youth have to be alert to this bat, leave themselves open at the back like that. They can be caught unawares. They've been given fair warning now, and that is a foul against Jez Lofthouse on Leighton Brooks. The Roar will continue. Bit too heavy. Nathan Yoon stops in his tracks, not wanting to chase that one from Kai Trewin. Long throw from Glover. It's met by Martin. Cut out though by White. Back to Martin. Trewin with the step. Powell. Interesting looking ball into Bafford. Still there for Bafford. It's gone round Mooney. Aloisi just couldn't get enough of a touch to Akbari. Frenetic stuff here at Goodwin Park. It's Olympic leading by a goal to 0, but we've mentioned it before, the Roar have had their chances, and that was another one. Great chasing from Bryce Bafford. And you wonder how Jez Lofthouse's pace is going to be used almost as much in a defensive capacity for Olympic in these early exchanges. Gets back upfield now, but the sheer pace of this raw attack will be causing problems throughout the game. Should be a cracker. Stick with us. It's Olympic 1, Brisbane Roar Youth 0 here in the National Premier League's Queensland. Sawyer comes short, but Freak will throw long. Good throw to Bafford. And Bafford tried to play in Brooks, and it was well out by Mooney. He's been caught unawares a couple of times so far in this first half as Nick Mooney, but knew he had to come on that occasion and did well. Touch a little bit too heavy, and danger now for the Raw Youth as Alex Smith looks to go past Isaac Powell. Was it a good tackle? It wasn't a good tackle, says Lara Lee. A little bit too much of a man, and there might have been a little bit of a cuddle, for want of a better word, beforehand. A little bit of a tug on the shirt. Glover does well to let the ball do the work, and then gets involved in a 50-50 with Isaac Powell, and it's a yellow card. Yellow card for Jack Glover. That's his second of the season. Of course, memorably was sent off after within 10 seconds of coming on against Strikers in that 1-0 defeat earlier in the season. He's the judge not to have control of his body in making that sliding tackle on Powell. A little consternation from those in red and white stripes, but matters not. It's a heavy challenge from Pissarros. Lara Lee plays advantage. It's with Powell. Cuts back to the other side, and Boyce. And Boyce is dispossessed that time by Lofthouse, doing his defensive duties and doing them well. Here's White. White to Sanders. Lofthouse wants it back. That's the wrong pass. And had that been the right pass, Raw could have been in a little bit of trouble. Danger from Trewin. Real danger from Trewin, and he gets away with one there. It's a heavy touch from Costa Pissarros, and it was good pressure from Alex Smith, and he'll pressure Macklin Freak now. He gets the ball out from under him well. But Olympic will come again. Here's Jez Lofthouse. He's cornered by Boyce. Wins the throw-in. Kumineo will take. Brisbane Roar senior side, of course, we're in action up at the Football Queensland Community Cup, taking on Magpies Crusaders during the week. We're out 5-0 winners. Botiak, Enrique got a double. Muratovic and Sawyer getting a goal in front of over 3,000 fans at BB Prince Stadium in Mackay. Fantastic occasion, and that was all part of the Football Queensland Community Cup celebrations. It's a massive success. You have to check out the Football Queensland website at footballqueensland.com.au for all the action and all the fallout from that fantastic initiative in the tropical north. Here's Waters. Jack Glover. Glover and Yoon came together. No fouls, says Lara Lee. She's keeping an eye on proceedings. She'll need eyes in the back of her head now. Here's Sawyer. Yoon. Lovely football to Akbari. There's players in the box. Akbari chooses to go himself and overruns it somewhat, and Kristen Waters just stuck a foot out and helped it out to Costa Pissarros. There were plenty of Raw players in the box. Steve White attempted the long ball over towards that far side where Kieran Sanders was perhaps thinking about making a run. He ended up staying motionless over on that far side. That was probably for the best. It was a poor pass. Now the Raw will play it amongst themselves at the back. Truan and Freak. Bari. Space opened up now on the inside. Here's Bafford. Good player, Bryce Bafford, but he's bundled off the ball here by Jez Lofthouse. Lovely work from the youngster. Lovely teasing ball over towards Sanders. Just in front of him, though. It's still there for Sanders. Here's Smith. Smith inside to Nazari. Nazari gets it back to Smith, but it's behind him. Smith checks his run. Retains possession. Needs support. Doesn't need support. Just puts the ball into middle. Passaros just over. And not enough of a touch. Still there for Jez Lofthouse, though. He puts the ball in at the near post. And the Raw will conspire to get this one away. We're going to stop the ball, and now Lara Lee is having a bit of a word with Nathan Yoon. That's good refereeing from Lara Lee. Didn't deem it enough to stop play and let Olympic continue their move, but then as soon as play did stop, has had a word. That's good refereeing from our Total Tools official. Speaking of Total Tools officials, Paul Eldridge, popular referee locally, if referees can be popular. It was his birthday yesterday, so we should wish him happy birthday. And here's a nice opportunity. Was there a handball there on Smith? Not given. I'm not sure he could have done much about it anyway. It's gone to Smith, and then that's a lovely effort from Lofthouse. Just fizzes past the post. Lara Lee just explaining to Adam Sawyer that Alex Smith had his arm by his side and certainly couldn't do much about it, and it made no impact at all. And Smith rather got the ball caught underneath himself before flicking it through to Lofthouse with the back heel, the inadvertent back heel, and almost paid off for Olympic. And they came close to doubling their lead. As it is, it remains 1-0, and they'll have to battle now up front with Kieran Sanders if they want to double their lead. Played through. Zelfin Nazari was unable to get onto the end of that. That was a real good tussle there between Isaac Powell and Kieran Sanders. Great learning curve for these Raw youth players. Playing in a men's competition. Olympic have an experienced side. No advantage for the foul on Akhbari. I think Zelfin Nazari knew he'd caught him. Powell inside to Akhbari. Soros does well. It's still there for Raw Youth. It's nothing from Nathan Yoon, but it's good from Powell. Aloisi chose to wait for it, and that was the wrong option. Soros takes that one out by himself, but nevertheless, nice footwork shown by the Olympic right-sided midfielder. Well cut out by James Kumineo, and Zelfin Nazari goes back and helps it to Mundy, who helps it forward but only finds his opposite number, Sawyer. Roy will come again. Olympic playing the ball out neatly from the danger area, and that's nice from Alex Smith. And now here's a chase on for Jez Lofthouse. Boyce is squaring him up. Lofthouse cuts back inside, falls for White. Now back wide to Sanders. Sanders with the outside of the boot. Passaros is waiting at the back. Smith got a touch. Passaros! I need to tell you how close that was. Good jump by Brooks. It falls for Matt Mundy. Now here's Kieran Sanders, the Englishman. Squeezes it past Martin, but Boyce gets there and Boyce wins for free kick. I think Ben Khan was particularly happy with that call. The interplay there between Trewin and Freak. Taking the ball out of danger. The Raw youth trail Olympic by a goal to nil. It was Jez Lofthouse who scored it in the 17th minute. Following up after a good Macklin Freak save from Zelfi Nazari. Both teams have had their chances though. It has settled down somewhat in this period of the game. Intensity's slightly gone out of it. Tom really is flying. Straight to Mooney. Here's Glover. Seen referee reach for their pocket in 3 occasions. We'll come back to that. Here's Jez Lofthouse. Lofthouse chasing. Lofthouse turning. He's dispossessed brilliantly by Martin. Still there though for Olympic with Sanders. And now back. Here's Zelfi Nazari. Wide to Costa Passaros. Offside is the call on this near side of the field. That's another promising move, and again another illustration of just how dangerous Jez Lofthouse can be in open space. Cutting back inside. Had he an opportunity to pull the trigger? Perhaps. Nevertheless, chose not to. And the chance has gone. I'll go back to what I was saying before. Jack Glover's seen the referee reach into his notebook on 3 occasions, and all 3 of them have come in live stream games. Quite often joke that Shane Stefanuto only gets booked when the cameras are on him, when he's playing for Olympic. Was that a handball against Tyson Martin? Close, he might have got his thigh up there. But it was certainly close to a handball, and that's certainly what those in red and white thought. Waters had to make that and did. Here's White. Sanders. Opportunity for Nazari. Flag goes up. And nevertheless, Nazari just helped the ball into the arms of Macklin Freak. He hasn't really shown much of what he's capable of so far. Hasn't had to, really. It's been some wayward shots and a couple of offsides, but did make that initial save off Zelfi Nazari, but eventuated into Jez Lofthouse's opening goal for Olympic. They do lead by a goal to nil. It's a splitting pass for Nathan Yoon to run onto it. Just a bit too close to Nick Mooney. Yoon does have pace, and Mooney almost conspired to spill that one. Gets it out to Steve White, who was hiding behind Lara Lee. It's a nightmare if you're colourblind. Referee wearing green and Olympic wearing red. Laura Lee just laying the law down to Kai Trewin. Here's Lofthouse. Boyce comes over to cover. Boyce might need support, gets it in Brooks, but it's still there for Lofthouse. Lofthouse has a lovely ball. Alex Smith has it now. Passaros wants it. It's going to fall through to Zelfi Nazari. He couldn't just adjust his feet. There was a deflection of the way through that didn't help. And perhaps it did help the Raw in not getting it through to Macklin Freak. Here's Sanders. Sanders on a rampaging run and has to be stopped, and is only stopped by the intervention of Brodie Boyce at the expense of an attacking throw-in over on that far side. Olympic are really showing their mettle here and are proving that they are still contenders for the title despite their recent run of results. Headed on by Waters. It'll be a corner. And Kieran Sanders will take it. 3 of their 5 remaining matches are at home. As we spoke earlier, for Olympic. That might not be a good thing. Don't have the best record at home so far this season. 3 draws, 3 of their 5 draws. That's the most of anyone in the National Premier League's Queensland this season for Olympic. Sometimes those draws can be the difference between coming top of the table or coming in 3rd or 4th, particularly with the table as tight as it is. I'll just run you quickly through how things stand in the top 4. As things stand right now, with Olympic leading by a goal to nil, they are 2nd on 47 points. That's 1 point behind Lions, who do have a game in hand. Western Pride are on 45, and Moreton Bay United are also on 45. That's assuming Olympic maintain this win. Here's Nathan Yoon hoping to change that. Forced back though are the Raw, and here's Tyson Martin, former Olympic junior. Also spent some time at the Strikers, one of 5 players in this Raw team. Laura Lee might have missed one there over on that far side. Matters not now though, because Costa Passaros is racing through for Olympic. He has support over on that far side for Alex Smith. Alex Smith can't get it out from under his feet. Brody Boyce is still blowing up at Laura Lee about that apparent trip, or supposed trip. White can't get there before Akbari delivers that ball wide to Yoon. Yoon is battling on this near side with Jack Glover, and then helps it out. That's good defending from Jack Glover, who wants someone to make a move. Wants to keep things moving, keep the impetus up, keep the momentum up for Olympic. Smith with the knock on. And thumped upfield by Kai Truin. It's one for Aloisi to challenge for, and now Yoon. Here's Bafford. Inside to Yoon. Here's Akbari. It's opened up for Akbari. Akbari's going to have a shot right against the feet of Mundy. Sawyer goes back to Martin. Brisbane Raw Youth pressing. Lovely turn from Akbari. Still there for the Raw Youth. Almost fell for Yoon, but it's good defending in the end for the hosts. But they are defending in numbers. Every single Olympic player in their own half. Move a little bit further forward now, but they're aware and alert to the danger of the hosts. Glover did just enough, and now the 2 number 5s, Powell and White, battle on that near side. Here's Glover. Glover tries to escape and then is fouled in the process by Isaac Powell. And a relieving free kick for Olympic. Sun is almost completely set behind us. Gorgeous sunset. I kind of wish we were pointing in the other direction to show you that, as that's inadvertently headed on towards Alex Smith by Isaac Powell. It's helped on its way by Truin, and now Macklin Freak, but he can only get it as far as James Kumineo. It will come again. A little bit in the back there from Kieran Sanders. No foul. Passaros has an opportunity to cross. He's squared up by Powell. It's flicked inside by Nazari, back towards Costa Passaros, but helped clear by the Raw. It's not a Raw ball, despite their protestations. Steve White will take this throw. You imagine it'll be long. A whole host of Olympic players just lurking on the penalty spot. Glover and Kristen Waters amongst them. It was Glover who flicked it on. It's hacked clear only as far as Steve White. White skips past one challenge from Aloisi. And Truin belts that one into the grandstand here at Goodwin Park. We're on the roof, so I can't tell you how populated, sparsely or packed it is. It is a cold, cold evening. Glover helps that one back towards Waters, who had to wait for it to bounce and now gets it away before Christian Aloisi can get there. Good pressing from the Raw Youth though. Mundy wide to Costa Passaros, who keeps finding this space on this near side. And Alex Smith trips himself up by the ball. And the Raw Youth will attempt to get things clear, but they're rather pegged in at the moment. That's a nice pass though to Ahmed Akbari. And now here comes Nathan Yoon. Yoon back inside to Sawyer. Akbari's continued his run. That's a lovely run and a lovely ball from Adam Sawyer. Akbari wants support. Yoon wants it near side. It's a clever idea, but Steve White was well alert to it. Steve White, who's spent time in the United States with the Seattle Sounders 2 team, the USL. Kieran Sanders, another globetrotter, formerly of Oxford City, amongst others in the UK. Lofthouse with the little flick. Couldn't find Sanders with it though, and the Raw will come again. Leighton Brooks. Oh, it's a nice idea, but it never got to Christian Aloisi, who'd made a good run into the middle. The arm was up from Sanders, but it's a lovely pass back inside to Smith. That's intelligent football from Sanders, and then Smith. Freak flew, and it came off the chest of Kai Trewin, and it'll be an Olympic corner over on that far side. Smith, it's just not falling for him at the moment. So making such a dramatic impact, a hat-trick in his first game in the FFA Cup against Moreton Bay United. He has scored 2 goals in the league since, but it's not quite coming off for him. Mundy makes a run. It's Smith who gets his head to it, but it was a firm punch from Freak. It's going to come straight back though. Here's Waters. Waters with the shot. Nice idea. He can shoot. Christian Waters is alternated between being a striker and a central defender. He's found a home at the centre of defence, but he can pose problems for opposition defenders just as much as he can. How about that skill from Leighton Brooks, by the way? Shame it didn't really result in anything, because that would have made a welcome addition to the Football Queensland highlight reel. You can catch all the highlights, of course, from the National Premier League's Queensland, the Football Queensland Premier League, and the National Premier League's Women's on the Football Queensland social media channels, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. It's @FootballQLD at your home for all football in the state. As Nathan Yoon turns the centre and then is dispossessed by Sanders, who plays in Jez Lofthouse, but it's met by Boyce instead, when Boyce ends up on his backside, and apparently it's been done by foul means rather than fair, and Jez Lofthouse is penalised for the free kick. Isaac Powell. Trewin. Martin, former Olympian. Touched by Brooks. Sorry, it wasn't Brooks, it was Bryce Bafford. I'm afraid to show off their skills, these Raw players. Talented group of individuals they would have to be selected from the other National Premier League's Queensland sides. There's a decent spectrum of clubs represented here. Come through the youth pathways at the clubs. The system, you'd say, working. Powell, formerly of Moreton Bay United, came through their youth junior programs. Sawyer, a former Brisbane City junior, has A-League experience, of course, 1 minute of it against Melbourne Victory, and that 1-1 draw in the A-League last season. Ahmed Akbari, former Brisbane striker junior. Just illustrating these players have come through the system here in Queensland. It's a real breeding ground for young talent. No handball on Glover, he's allowed to run and it really opens up for him. Chooses to lay it off to Sanders and get back into a more familiar position. Here's Jez Lofthouse. This is a familiar position for him. Back to Sanders, but that's great chasing back. Really clever chasing back for Bryce Bafford. And Raw give it away again. Another turnover in a dangerous position. And Kieran Sanders is right in the middle of it. Waters. Alex Smith. Onside. Closed down by Powell. 2 men in the box for Olympic. Costa Passaros and Jez Lofthouse. Smith's going to go all in his own. Plays it right behind Jez Lofthouse, and then it falls into the back of the net, courtesy of Steve White. And Olympic have their second. He scored last week against Cairns in that 2-all draw, and right on the stroke of half-time, Olympic have doubled their lead. And it's 2-2 for the former Central Coast Mariner and Seattle Sounder. Good football, you'd have to say it's been coming. The Roar have put up a pretty good fight in this first half and played some sensational football. But they'll be arguing that there might have been a handball in the build-up from Jack Glover. Nevertheless, there's plenty of time for them to get the ball away. And they were unable to do so. No one to blame but themselves in that regard. Is there a chance to get one back before the break? No, says Lara Lee. That's how it'll finish in this first half, and it's been a good first half, particularly if you're a fan of the red and white. It's Olympic leading by 2-0. An early strike from Jez Lofthouse, following in after Zelfi Nazari saw his shot saved by Macklin Freak after a rather heavy touch. There's a little bit of an inquest going on. Brodie Boyce having a discussion with Laura Lee, potentially about the second goal that Steve White's just scored. Ball was played in nicely by Alex Smith behind the on-rushing Jez Lofthouse, and Steve White was following in on the edge of the area and calmly side-footed into the far post. But the argument will be as to whether there was a handball in the build-up from Jack Glover. It didn't look like much from our position up here in the commentary box if there was a handball, but Laura Lee is a lot closer than us, and that's exactly how she saw it as well. Half-time here at Goodwin Park. It's Olympic 2, Brisbane Roar Youth 0. Don't go anywhere. There'll be a fantastic second half of football to come. 45 more minutes from the National Premier League's Queensland, and if Drew Sherman, the Roar youth coach's protestations to Laura Lee are anything to go by, should be some fireworks in this one. Looking forward to this. It's Olympic 2, Roar Youth 0. We'll see you after these short messages.
Into the back of the net, what a goal!
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
I could watch them all day. Even though here, you don't feel like you need to. These are the moments I'll remember. You see, to me, it's not so much just having us all together, but finding a place that really brings us together. That's what makes Oaks Oasis special. When you only get a few chances, it's important to make them count. After all, memories don't make themselves.
corner. That headed clear by Weatherby, and then it's hooked in again. That's a fine goal. Certainly.
Hey guys, it's Andy here checking in from Football Queensland's home base. We're back here. Unfortunately, Kerry, the partner in crime, couldn't be here today as she was a bit scared away from me beating her at all the challenges, so she's ran back home. No, she's actually struck with football fever, unfortunately. So hopefully you're enjoying watching the World Cup, and thank you very much to everyone that came out to our road trip and enjoyed the sessions. Thank you very much to the hosts, the players, the coaches, everyone that made it possible. So thank you very much, guys. Make sure you stay tuned for the highlights of the trip next. I'm out. See you next time, guys. We're just out here watching some mini-roos train. Morning guys, it's Andy here in the Tinny Cahill, and we've got Kerry here driving as well in the Tin Cahill. Morning! We're here en route to Gladstone, so we're on our way. We've left Hervey Bay, Maryborough and Bundaberg now, so day 3, and we're getting ready for a Gladstone clinic tonight. Champion, what was your favourite part of tonight? Playing the soccer game, unbelievable. Did you have lots and lots of fun tonight? Brilliant stuff. And who will you be supporting in the World Cup? Who will you be supporting in the World Cup?
The Socceroos.
Oh, fantastic. Give me a high five.
Okay, right, dingo challenge. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
Hey guys, it's Andy and Kerry here. We're en route to Mackay. We've decided just to get out, have a stretch of the legs and have a bit of a kick to get some touches on the ball. But right now we're just about to go have a snicky snacky snoo. Take care.
Hey guys, breaking up the journey. We're between Bowen and Townsville at Gumley Fresh Fruits. The challenge is on. Can we get the ball into the melon?
Hey Kerry, you didn't say we had to kick it. Hey guys, it's Andy just checking in. We have got Kerry with us, however she's a little bit sick at this stage if we look. She actually has a bit of World Cup fever. We're loving this World Cup, guys. This is awesome. We are on the road. We're in southwest Queensland this time round. Kerry, where are we tonight?
We are in Dolby tonight, Toowoomba and then Stanthorpe.
Go Socceroos!
And that's all from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.
It's a fantastic program for kids to come in, see if they like football, also learn new skills, come out to the park, enjoy it, meet new friends as well.
I recommend to all parents, both for the girls and boys, to join soccer. It's a way to boost their self-confidence and also to interact with other kids, and they love every second of it.
Welcome back to Goodwin Park, where Olympic lead for Brisbane Roar Youth by 2-0. It was Jez Lofthouse who opened the scoring, following up from a Zelfi Nazari's shot that Macklin Freak saved well. And then the second shot right on the stroke of half-time. Steve White passing the ball home after some good work down the right-hand side by Alex Smith. He passed the ball just behind Jez Lofthouse, but White was following in on the edge of the area. Players are out on the field. Looks like there's a bit of a fitness test going on with Harry Talbot. Be coming on to play just his third game, sorry, in the National Premier League's seniors, former Brisbane Strikers junior. And he did manage to score a goal on his debut against Brisbane City, so he's a player with a lot of potential, another youngster. He's just looked like it was either a fitness test or just completing a warm-up, because he's out there and will be taking part in this second half. I'll just looking through the numbers and just trying to work out who he will be replacing. I think it's Rahmat Akbari who has gone off. That's an unusual one for me. I think Akbari played pretty well in that first half, but the number 8 jersey is not out there, so perhaps an injury for him. It is his first game since the 12th of May. He's had 2 months off with an injury, so perhaps that is what has come into the mind of Drew Sherman, and he's being eased back in. He's an important player for Brisbane Roar Youth. He's been in the setup for a couple of years now. Lara Lee gets us back underway. It's the home side Olympic in the red and white stripes, kicking from right to left in this second half. It is they who lead by 2-0. You're watching the National Premier League's Queensland round 21, and Simon Smale bringing you all the coverage for Football Queensland and Double Take. Monday tried to get that one through to Jez Lofthouse, who scored the opening goal. Just couldn't squeeze it through, so will be a throw-in for Olympic on this near sideline. Running quickly through the teams. Doesn't look like there's any changes for Olympic there as they lined up. Mooney in goal with number 2 Jack Glover, number 4 Kristen Waters, number 5 Steve White, number 6 Matt Mundy, number 10 Kieran Sanders, number 11 Jez Lofthouse, number 12 Costa Passaros, number 14 James Kumineo, number 20 Zelfi Nazari, and number 23 Alex Smith, who's toiled up front without personal reward, though he has set up goal there. Handball off Costa Passaros, number 12 for Olympic, and here is the number 7 for the Roar Youth, Leighton Brooks, putting a ball in just over the top of Mooney, who was shaky in that first half. Gifted the Roar Youth a couple of opportunities. The Roar Youth are now 1 to 12 with 8 missing. We'll run you through that just after this move breaks down. Here's Jez Lofthouse, dangerous when cutting inside. Tried to thread that through to Passaros, but it's still there for Lofthouse and Passaros was off balance, and I think if he had his time again, he'd have taken another touch. As I mentioned, Roar lined up 1 through 11. In goal, Macklin Frigg, number 1, and then 2, Brodie Boyce, number 3, Tyson Martin, number 4, Kai Truin, number 5, Isaac Powell, number 6, Adam Sawyer, number 7, Leighton Brooks, number 8, Rahmat Akbari did start, but he has been substituted. It's his first game in over 2 months, and so he has been given the second half off with his team chasing the game. Number 9 is Christian Aloisi. It was his header, or at least him challenging for that header there, but forced the throw in on this near side. Bryce Bafford, number 10, number 11, Nathan Yoon. And then substitute at half-time is Harry Talbot, a youngster, another teenager. Steve White is debating that decision with Lara Lee. I don't think she's up for a discussion, although I did give a pointer to Steve White about why that was a free kick. Here's White's opposite number, Isaac Powell, over on that far side, who was impressive in the first half. Sawyer. That was a good challenge. Excellent work from Alex Smith. He does work hard. And here's another player who's been putting it in, Kieran Sanders. It's closed down by Martin. I don't have to be aware. Lovely ball inside to Lofthouse. Lofthouse looks inside. Oh, it was left by Psaros. It's still there for Smith, though. Is it Smith cutting into a bit of trouble and ran down a cul-de-sac, really, that was populated by plenty of Raw players. Always running the gauntlet. There were so many players there waiting to tackle him, and it was the last that managed it. Number 3, Tyson Martin. Olympic do still have possession, though, with Zelfi Nazari. Mundy goes back to Waters, and now over to James Kumineo. Here's Lofthouse. The run inside was by White. Lofthouse wants it back, gets it back. Let it run a little bit too far. Alex Smith could have done with an early ball there from Jez Lofthouse. Kumineo wanted Alex Smith to run at 32 years old. I think he's given up on chasing those. The former Fraser Park and Sydney Olympic player. Of course, representing Wellington Phoenix in the Hyundai A-League. Played 41 games for the New Zealand side. Only managed 1 goal in 2,428 minutes. It's not a statistic that he'd particularly enjoy hearing, I wouldn't have thought. I think Nazari really unhappy with that call. And it seemed fairly innocuous from where we're standing up on the grandstand here at Goodwin Park. We're on the roof. The creaking, I'm hoping, is the girders supporting us stably. Harry Talbot getting his first touch then, and here's Brodie Boyce. And Boyce is dispossessed now by Jez Lofthouse, and Lofthouse is dangerous in these positions. He skins Boyce like he's not moving. The pace of Jez Lofthouse. Tried to find Sanders, but again, move just breaks down, and now the roar will come again. They've got plenty of enthusiasm, the tempestuousness of youth, just continuing to press. Exuberant play. Good hold-up play by Brooks. He gets it back to Sawyer. So we'll be hoping for more Hyundai A-League experience this season than he got last, just for 1 minute of football he played last year for the Raw. At Melbourne victory. Here's Brooks. Good run from Brooks. It's opened up for him somewhat. He ran straight into Steve White, and he's won a free kick. I'm not sure what Steve White really could have done there. He was standing his ground, and looked like Leighton Brooks overran it and then ran straight into him, the former Brisbane striker product. He spent a year at the FFA Centre of Excellence down in Canberra, playing 13 games and scoring 5 goals. Nevertheless, the free kick is given by Lyra Lee, and it's a free kick that Adam Sawyer will take. He scored 1 goal this season against Redlands. Scored 1 goal last year as well. Looks like this is more a position to provide. All massed over on the left-hand side of the box as we see it. Nick Mooney's right. It's a shot at the near post. It wasn't all that far away from Adam Sawyer, nevertheless hugely ambitious to try and beat the former Far North Queensland Heat keeper from there. Glover. Decent enough ball, but it was cut out by Trewin. And Glover will have another opportunity from the throw-in this time to launch the ball forward. Probably go back to Waters, though, who made a backtracking run that was followed by Aloisi. Aloisi's son, of course, assistant coach for Raw senior team. Neat football between Psaros and Sanders. Psaros' cross left a little to be desired, though, so the Raw will clear, but Psaros kept working and almost caught Isaac Powell a little unawares there. No handball on Harry Talbot. Olympic will continue to build. Here is Jez Lofthouse. Has Nazari inside. Lofthouse continues his run. Lofthouse is quick, gets the ball in to the middle. Psaros couldn't make it there. And now will it be the Raw who break free through Nathan Yoon. Powell looking for an option, forced back to Trewin. Trewin's being boxed in here. Founds the outlet ball to Tyson Martin. That's good football former Olympic player. Passes wide to Boyce. Boyce back inside to Martin. Comes to Truin by way of Adam Sawyer, and then the long balls through towards Bafford. It was ambitious, he was quick, Bryce Bafford, but not that quick. Nick Mooney off his line was able to claim. This game's sort of settling in. We'll just give you a couple of scores from the rest of the competition from the weekend. And the early game on Saturday afternoon up in Kawana saw Brisbane City run out 4-0 winners over Sunshine Coast. Very comprehensive victory. Alex Fechner hat-trick doing the damage. Kai Fechner getting City's 4th. Aloisi twists and turns. This is good football from the Brisbane Roar. We'll come back to those scores. Here's Brooks. Brooks with the cross. It's cut out at the first opportunity by James Kumineo. It's going to come straight back though through Martin, who controlled it well at the feet of Alex Smith. Here's Brooks again. Cuts back inside. Now Yoon back inside to Brooks. It's fallen all the way across to Aloisi. Aloisi, it's smothered by Nick Mooney bravely. From the Olympic keeper, that's excellent goalkeeping, brave goalkeeping, and it's kept his clean sheet for another moment at least. Good football from the Raw youth, excellent build-up play. Just ran away from Christian Aloisi before he could get a shot away. And Mooney committed and got the ball down well, but good spell of possession this for the Raw youth. Here's Isaac Powell. Goes wide. To Nathan Yoon. Yoon twists and turns and gets past Jack Glover. Twists and turns again and gets past Jack Glover again. Tormenting the Olympic defender. It's fallen for Bafford now. Bafford wide to Brooks. Brooks! There was a deflection, was there? It is a corner. Deflection took it over the safety netting and in dangerous proximity to my car. Will be a corner. It will be taken by Adam Sawyer, and while we're waiting for a new ball, we'll run you quickly through those other results. Good result out west in Toowoomba for the Western Pride. It was 4-1 the final score there. Lions picked up a vital 3 points at Richlands against Moreton Bay United. 1-0 the score there. Brisbane Strikers put 5 past Redlands United for the second consecutive week. 5-1 the score at Perry Park. Adam Sawyer has to check before delivering this ball, and it's a teasing one, it's a dangerous one. Aloisi didn't jump as high as he might, you feel, and it was headed clear. And now an opportunity for Jez Lofthouse to twist and turned Isaac Powell inside out, and Isaac Powell commits the foul, and you'd have to say Isaac Powell is looking at a yellow card here, you'd have thought. That's exactly what Lara Lee's thinking. And the yellow card is shown. His first of the season. Cutting down Jez Lofthouse in his tracks. The other scores, a surprise in the Northern Derby. Cairns losing 3-1 in Cairns to the North Queensland United. That's a real shock result, that. Caught many people by surprise. Cairns were in sensational form, really put in danger on the top 4 almost with their run, but didn't quite come off of them. Here's Smith, lovely Smith in towards Sanders. Sanders! That's 3-0, that's magnificent football. Magnificent football from Olympic. Lovely interplay between Lofthouse and Sanders and Alex Smith. And it's Kieran Sanders who gets his 7th goal of the season. And that build-up play makes everything worth it. Sensational football. And the Brisbane Royal youth are staring down the barrel here, you feel. Been impressive in these opening stages of the second half, but they conceded 6 against Olympic in round 8. Will there be a similar result on this occasion? Could be worse if you give Jez Lofthouse chances like that, but it's come out okay for the Raw youth. Here's Leighton Brooks. Brooks has been good in this second half. He turns James Kumineo inside out, and then the shot comes in from Bryce Bafford. Still alive. And there's a little bit of confusion here. I think the Royal Youth were hoping it was a corner. Olympic seemed convinced that it was a goal kick, and I think the linesman on this near side thought there might have been a foul involved. Nevertheless, Olympic had possession, and Nick Mooney launches it upfield. How vital is that block and that save now from Christian Aloisi earlier on in this second half? From Nick Mooney, could be of vital importance. Here's Harry Talbot, the second half substitute, ran into a blind alley and got mugged of the ball, and Olympic come again, but that's a good intervention from Powell to dispossess Kieran Sanders. Olympic will come again. It was there for Talbot. Apologies for the language if you're watching at home and of sensitive hearing. Flag's gone up. Offside against Costa Passaros. Isaac Powell's been given a fair workout over on that far side, number 5 for the Brisbane Royal Youth. He's done incredibly well. Brooks tried for flamboyant, didn't get a touch. But it has fallen for Bryce Bafford, and this is a good opportunity for the Royal Youth. Bafford cuts back inside, plays the ball out wide to Brooks again. Brooks with the first time cross, easily dealt with by Waters. Brooks is still chasing though. So is Boyce. Lofthouse back to help. Now White played Lofthouse into a little bit of bother there. He does well to just concede the throw-in off Brody Boyce. He goes back to Tyson Martin. Brisbane Roar building from the back, staring at their first defeat in 4 matches. Got a tough run in Brisbane Roar Youth. They play North Queensland United at Logan Metro Sports Ground. They travel to Mackay to take on the Magpies Crusaders. Smith goes wide to Costa Passaros, who's got acres of space on that far side. Back inside to Sanders, a slip in the midfield. Sanders, good save, freak. After the trip to Mackay, they play midweek against Lions on a Wednesday night. That's on the 8th. They do, of course, have a week off next week. It's a catch-up weekend. Have to check at football.qld social media channels for which fixtures are happening. Western Pride. The Royal Youth then play after that midweek Lions trip. Midweek Lions visit, sorry. And they face the Lions again at Richlands and end the season with a home match against Moreton Bay United. So they could be kingmakers, Brisbane Royal Youth. Lions currently top of the table. Olympic will go back second if the result stays as it is. You'd say that it probably will. It will be for Brisbane Roar Youth's 6th defeat in 10 games against Olympic in the course of the National Premier League's Queensland history. They've won just 3 matches with 1 draw. Came back in 2014 here at Goodwin Park, 2-2 the score there. Reoccurring scoreline between the two sides has been 4-1. 4-1 to Olympic and Roar in 2015, to Roar here at Goodwin Park in 2016, and here to Olympic in 2017 last year, and then Olympic won 4-0 at AJ Kelly Field, which will be hosting National Premier League football again next season. After Peninsula Power confirmed their spot. Winning promotion and indeed for Premiership. It's bobbling around the area. Here's Aloisi, good stop Mooney. Aloisi almost caught Mooney out again. Good football by the Royal Youth, still managed to get a shot away, and there are still danger signs here for Olympic. Smith. Saros has a bit of space to run into. Could go wide to Sanders and does. Sanders wanted to cross. Squared up by Powell. And then Al got the assistance in the form of Nathan Yoon, and the corner is the cost at that assistance. 4 is a reoccurring scoreline. Will Olympic get their 4th anytime soon? Lofthouse wanted the return ball. It's not going to matter. White with the shot off the post, the foot of the post. It's still there for Olympic. Glover could have done better, could have done worse rather than just shooting there. Instead, he tried to lay the ball off and only found a royal blue shirt. And the chance goes begging, but here is James Kumineo. Mazzari had a run on this near side, it was ignored, and instead Jack Glover is forced to play the ball forward himself. Here's Kumineo. Lofthouse wants the ball. It's played inside to Costa Passaros, and the accusation comes across for James Kumineo, but Costa Passaros didn't make the run that he was expected to and didn't challenge the ball. It was a teasing ball right on the edge of the penalty area. It was a difficult one for Freak to claim. And here's an opportunity now for Alex Smith. Plays the ball across to Passaros, who waited on it, and he'll be left waiting. Raw will counter-attack. Here's Nathan Yoon over on that far side. He's stood up by Jack Glover. It'll be a throw into the Raw youth over on that far side. Good football in the last 5-10 minutes or so. It's been good football all game here in the National Premier League Queensland between Olympic and Brisbane Raw youth. Olympic lead their visitors by 3-0. Goals being scored by Jez Lofthouse, Steve White and Kieran Sanders. Talbot. Wide to Brooks. Brooks has a bit of space to run into. Boyce wants it, and that was well watched and well cut out by Matt Mundy. As was that by Tyson Martin, and Martin is rather bundled off it. Throw into Olympic. Steve White takes his tally for the season for 3. That's 2 in 2 games for him. And Khan resisted the urge to go to his bench so far. Cut out there by Bafford from Lofthouse's pass. And Waters surges through, and Costa Passaros has Alex Smith on this near side. Lovely ball, lovely control from Smith. Smith can't squeeze it through to Lofthouse, and now there's a little bit of an option here for the Raw, but it was well dealt with by Steve White, and Olympic will come again, and the flag goes up for offside, and Alex Smith's looking around to see who perhaps he was calling offside. Scarcely believing that it could have been he. Nevertheless, it's a risky ball by Martin across the face of Costa Passaros, who tumbles to the deck. Sawyer, that's a poor pass from Adam Sawyer, and he goes down on his haunches. I feel through injury rather than embarrassment. Seems to be moving okay now. Bafford making some intelligent moves. Bryce Bafford, and creating opportunities. Here it is for Talbot. Talbot wide to Brooks. Aloisi's making a run near post, and that cross really went nowhere near any Raw player. Talbot was probably the closest. And all the space in the world and the time in the world for Kieran Sanders on this far side. Here's Passaros now. Lofthouse is making a run far post. It's come back to Sanders. Lofthouse still has a lot of space. Costa Passaros receives it though near side, gets it inside. It's cut out by Martin and hacked clear as far as Brooks. Now Brooks takes it down and goes wide of Kumineo, and Kumineo does just enough. Still there though for Brooks, and now Brooks goes past Kumineo and squeezes past Kumineo and White. That's excellent football from Leighton Brooks. He needs support. Aloisi's running near post, and then another disappointing pass. Bryce Bafford was the closest person to the target, and unfortunately never quite got to him. And Olympic will clear. Kieran Sanders popping up all over the park now. Here's Lofthouse. Lovely ball from Lofthouse for White to run on. 2 flags up though, and we need to duck because that ball's coming right for us. Don't worry, it missed. Tyson Martin will take the free kick. But first we're going to have a substitution, and it's Zelfi Nazari, who has worked hard and could have had an opening goal were it not saved by Macklin Freak, but it didn't matter for Olympic because Jez Lofthouse was there to follow up, and he's now been replaced. Shelford Dias, who's come on. He hasn't scored, Shelford Dias, since the 6-0 win against the Raw, all the way back in round 8. It's a 9-game barren run. Of course, was with the Brisbane Raw youth 2014 to 15 in the National Youth League campaign. Ended up being Player of the Year in that National Youth League campaign. Here he is now. It's cut out by Kai Truin, but gets back to his feet. This is Costa Passaros. Passaros injects some pace. 2 men in the middle for Olympic. Sanders and Lofthouse. Glover. Here's Mundy. Olympic keeping the ball alive well. Mundy skips past 1, skips past 2, skips past 3, shoots. Good save, Macklin Freak. Really good save from the youngster. Had to stand tall. It was close to him in truth. And then that was lackadaisical from Harry Talbot, and he's dispossessed by that man, Matt Mundy, who seems to have a bit between his teeth. Here he is now, popping up on the right-hand side. Olympic very fluid in the way they set up. Certainly today, and going forward, popping up all over the park are the attacking players for the red and white. Waters instructed to keep the ball, so he gives it back to his keeper, Mick Mooney. And Glover shows a clean pair of heels to Nathan Yoon, and an opportunity for Kieran Sanders on this near side. Lofthouse had to check his run. White's on the overlap. White with the cross, flags up on this near side. White gives the advertising hoardings a gentle tap with his right boot. Frustration is building. Now to see another substitution, this time for the visitors. It's Adam Sawyer who's being withdrawn. Probably the longest serving Brisbane Raw youth player in the system. Made his first appearance for the Raw youth senior team, if you like, all the way back in 2015. Played 36 games now. Sorry, 52 games for the Brisbane Raw youth. Should probably count this season, shouldn't I? He's replaced by Ollie Plusnin for his debut. He's the 36th player used by the Brisbane Raw youth in the National Premier League's Queensland. Which does beg the question how you can get any sort of, any semblance of routine and consistency in a side where you've used so many different players. Leighton Brooks twists and turns and goes well. He grabs a fistful of James Kumaneo's shirt. I mean, he didn't need to make that touch. A bit of inexperience shown there by Leighton Brooks, and he concedes the throw-in. Ollie Plusnin is former Brisbane City product, came all the way through the academy at Brisbane City before moving to the Raw last season in a junior capacity. Still eligible for the under-18s, played 12 times for them so far this season, 6 for the under-20s. So 13 times for the under-18s, 9 for the under-20s. Make sure I'm reading the right notes. Here's Jez Lofthouse, out wide to Kieran Sanders. Olympic come on the attack again. Lofthouse has a lot of space. Smith inside, lovely touch from Shelford Dias, and then Lofthouse goes down, it's hacked clear. Scrambling defence from the Brisbane Raw. Olympic toying with their prey at the moment, the young Raw Cubs. Facing a fair beating from their more experienced opponents, where experience does tell. These latter stages. Here's Costa Passaros now, experienced at this level. Goes back. Boyce, here's Alex Smith, who's dropped very deep now. Sanders, so I meant about that fluid play. Anyway, here is Kieran Sanders. Kieran Sanders towards the back post. Not sure if he was crossing or shooting then. Hasn't gone out in any case, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say cross. Shelford Dias was in attendance. Control from Jack Glover. He's done well coming into this defensive line. All just goes clear. He, of course, is playing in place of Kazuya Ito, who was the regular at the start of the season. 31-year-old from Osaka. Good score against the Brisbane Roar Youth last year. Kazuya Ito. He's been injured since the FFA Cup clash against Brisbane City. That game that went to extra time and then penalties. Olympic, of course, going through where they will play Lions. Of course, Brisbane Roar senior team are also in FFA Cup action. They play Melbourne City at Dolphin Stadium on the 7th of August. Get your tickets at brisbaneroar.com.au for that one. Interesting to note as well that the A-League fixtures came out this week. There's Lofthouse, gets possession, and Alex Smith is rather caught in possession by Talbot. The Roar will come away with it. Here comes Boyce. Space on this near side for Brooks. Lots of space. That's a teasing cross. A little bit too far ahead of Aloisi, and he gives a little skip in annoyance and frustration. Does Leighton Brooks. He's been good, but not quite delivering the end product as of yet, as we see another substitution do here. Costa Passaros is coming off, and it's Danny Byrne who is just tucking himself in, making himself look presentable before making what will be his 126th appearance for Olympic in the National Premier League's Queensland. Hasn't been a regular. Danny Byrne. Lofthouse. Sanders. Lofthouse wanted it, but Sanders kept it. Andy gets it back. He's squeezed out of it though. Ollie Plusnin. In his first couple of touches in senior men's National Premier League football. Have a good touch from Plusnin over towards Trewin. A little bit of space now for Powell. Yoon, back to Powell. Patient build-up play from the Brisbane Roar. Yoon, inside to Bafford. Bafford is bundled off it by Jez Lofthouse doing defensive duties once more. That's a delightful ball over to Kieran Sanders. He's all on his own. Shelford Dias is arriving, but Sanders is going to go himself. That's a great save by Freak. Big, strong left hand from the youngster. He preserves the scoreline at 3-0, but may not stay that way for long. The Roar being hunted by Olympic at the moment, although the flag has gone up on this far side. A little bit lazy from Shelford Dias. So saying the Honda A-League draw came out this week, and Brisbane Roar playing they're opening 2 games at home at Suncorp Stadium. Sunday the 21st of October and Sunday the 28th of October. Lots of football locally to take place before then, of course. Lovely ball, teasing ball over towards the far side, and Nathan Yoon. Nathan Yoon took too heavy a touch. Still might fall for Bryce Bafford though. That shot came in from Talbot, but it was blocked at source. That's a solid tackle from Glover. Still there for the Brisbane Roar Youth though. Carson Martin gets it back from Ollie Plusnin. Kai Trewin. Olympic are preparing to make another substitute. Nice touch and bit of skill from Leighton Brooks. Talbot. Pass from Martin, wide over to that far side. And Isaac Powell. Powell back inside to Talbot. Talbot injects some pace. Talbot goes round Waters, goes to deck. Laura Lee has a look and points towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It'll be a goal kick, and we will have the substitution. Jean-Philippe Lassam will be the man coming on, the former Surfers Paradise Apollo. And when I see an Olympic player make his way off the field, I'll let you know who it is. It is Alex Smith, who failed to impress the scorers, but did plenty of work up front for Olympic in this game. He's one who will be paying careful attention to that Hyundai A-League draw, formerly, of course, of the Wellington Phoenix, and they are Brisbane Roar's guests in round 2 on the 28th of October. Interestingly enough, plenty of players in this side, this Olympic side at least, will be interested to note that Central Coast Mariners are the first team that will come to Lang Park, Suncorp Stadium. Plenty of interest in that game. Of course, Ben Khan, former Central Coast Mariners academy coach. There's been a couple of players involved here, Shelford Dias being one of them, as Nick Mooney gathers that one fairly comfortably from Leighton Brooks. Steve White and Shelford Dias, both involved in the Central Coast Mariners. Ben Khan, of course, the connection there, and Mike Mulvey returning to Brisbane in round 1 of the Hyundai A-League. Like I said, a lot of domestic football locally to play. There's a mistake from Mundy. Crept in, did Bafford. Couldn't get enough of a touch. That was a pretty horrible error from Matt Mundy. A real veteran of this Olympic side. This is his 104th National Premier League's Queensland game. Feels like he probably got away with one there. Solid head by Shelford Dias. Danny Byrne getting involved. Dias, Byrne. Dias. Now Danny Byrne. Here's an opportunity for Byrne. Good save, brave save from Freak. The flag goes up on that far side. There's a little bit of a discussion going on, as you can imagine. Again, goalkeepers union, it would probably be considered a foul on Macklin Freak, but he certainly dived in at Danny Byrne. He can dive forwards. Danny Byrne really can't. Has to go with his feet. Not really in a position to make a diving header when the ball's rolling along the floor, but we're going to see another substitution now. Nathan Yoon. He goes off and he's replaced by Cyrus Demi. And Cyrus Demi is the 37th player to take his bow for the Brisbane Roar youth side in the National Premier League's Queensland this season. Just to give you some context, Olympic have used 21 different players. Admittedly a very settled side, but the aim, of course, in this competition, particularly for these Roar youth players, is to develop them and to give them a taste of men's football. But unsettled side does make things difficult, and you do feel for them sometimes. Talbot. Martin. Say it quietly, but Leighton Brooks' number on his shorts is falling off. Roar have had problems in this department before. I said it quietly though, so hopefully nobody's going to notice. Lovely touch from Harry Talbot, and he's done incredibly well there. Here is Leighton Brooks. Missing a number on his shorts, you might be able to see it there. Back to Harry Talbot. Talbot. Lovely work from Brooks again, where he's dispossessed by Kumineo, and now Olympic will play the ball upfield through Steve White. Jez Lofthouse, that's brilliant from Jez Lofthouse. That's really brilliant from Jez Lofthouse. And that's a really ugly challenge. A really ugly challenge from Harry Talbot. He's earned his yellow card there. Jez Lofthouse just proving how dangerous a player he is. While we've got a moment, we'll just give mention to the Queensland under-14 and under-15 girls sides who are heading down to Coffs Harbour for the National Youth Championships next week. Best of luck to them. You can read all about their journey and how they get on at footballqueensland.com.au. Make sure you do that. Lots of great content on there. Referee of the month, Total Tools Referee of the month, sorry, Volunteer of the month. And lots of player profiles and coaching profiles as well. Lovely ball, flag stays down on Kieran Sanders. Sanders has Steve White in the middle, but he's dispossessed, has his pocket picked by Ollie Pluston, and that's lovely work from a former City youngster. Leighton Brooks, neat ball, it's still there for Aloisi, and Waters' over-enthusiasm cost him there. Here's Leighton Brooks. Ollie Pluston making his debut in senior football. Don't forget how impressive that tackle really was on Steve White. He is a highly touted prospect, Ollie Pluston. Martin to Truin and back to Martin again. Martin goes route one along the floor though, and Bafford could have taken a touch and may have had greater joy, but will do retain possession. Enjoying a good spell of possession ball. They trail by 3-0 if you've just joined us. If you have just joined us, where have you been? It's been an impressive professional performance from Olympic against the youngsters from the Raw Youth as Steve White goes down and just holds his shoulder. Just took a little bit of a knock. He's feeling it a fair bit, I think, Steve White. We might have to have a look. He scored Olympic's second goal on the stroke of half-time after Jez Lofthouse had given the hosts a 17th minute lead. Kieran Sanders adding the third in the 57th minute of the game, and since then it's been fairly comfortable for Olympic. Looked like there was a push in the back from Sanders, if we're honest, but play was allowed to continue by Laura Lee and Shelford Dias. Wins a throw in over on this near side, down to our left. Sanders gets the ball back from White, who's shrugged off that arm injury. He's holding it still a little gingerly. An Olympic throw despite Leighton Brooks' appeal. Provoked of the centre of excellence down in Canberra. Bumped off the ball fairly effectively there by Sanders. Sanders gets the ball past free. Lofthouse, shape to shoot. Wasn't quite on. That's a shame because he can hit them and did so at the Logan Metro Sports Ground. And Steve White just laid one on Leighton Brooks there, and Leighton Brooks is feeling that, and Leighton Brooks is in a fair amount of pain now. Is it his wrist? I think it might be. We're going to have the physio run over. I think he's in a fair bit of pain. It's the problem, I think. Sometimes make these tough collisions. I'm playing with the older boys in the playground. Throw yourself about a little bit, and then if you get a bit of a solid nudge, you don't fall quite right. Laura Lee's just having a word with her assistant on this near side just to see if there was anything in that. I have to admit that it didn't seem like there was anything. It looked like a fairly standard bit of contact. But Leighton Brooks is in a fair amount of discomfort on this near touchline. Just a reminder that And if you've been looking for National Premier League's women's action this weekend, don't worry. It'll be coming to you midweek on Thursday night. Sunshine Coast Wanderers against Moreton Bay United. Check the Football Queensland Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter for all the updates and all the extra information on that and whether or not that game will be being brought to you. Oh, he blows that whistle seemingly right into our microphone. Helped out by Steve White, kept in by Steve White. And it's kept right into the path of Christian Aloisi and Bryce Bafford, and now James Kumineo helps it out. Let's follow Football Queensland across social media to get all your live stream information. It'll be at Football QLD for all your social media needs. Particularly enjoy the Instagram stories from behind the scenes here at the live stream commentaries as Harry Talbot gets possession and then engages in a little bit of a battle with Jez Lofthouse, who runs a fair way off the ball, and that's going to hold up in the D. Still out now, it's eventually gone off. A fair bit of a dip over on that far side. The ball not sitting quite as flush as perhaps you would have expected as it slowed. Laura Lee takes a long look at her whistle. Only 15 seconds or so of normal time remaining. There won't be much extra time added on. One to the chest of Brodie Boyce. Plus him, just put that one straight onto the chest of Steve White, and one last opportunity for Olympic to attack. Good solid collision between Jean-Philippe Lassam and Brodie Boyce. Here is Shelford Dias. Lovely back heel from Dias to Lofthouse. Dias let the ball do the work, but got a touch and then brings down Bryce Bafford. That was unorthodox and rather uncouth from the second half substitute, Shelford Dias, and he earns himself his 4th yellow card of the season, so he'll have to be careful. 5 means having a week on the sidelines, which the majority of the teams will have next week, although Olympic are playing their game against Redlands United next Friday down at the Cleveland Showgrounds. Redlands United, who were beaten by 5-1 at Perry Park this weekend, yesterday evening. Second week in a row they've conceded 5. Brodie Boyce waited, and that was not prudent. Lofthouse nipping in and stealing the ball. Here's Dias. Lofthouse will receive it back. Lots of space for Sanders. The flag goes up. That's questionable, I think. Right on the last shoulder. Obviously the assistant official over on that far side is in a much better position than we are, but it did look like Kieran Sanders was watching the line pretty well. If not, perhaps should have been. It was a good opportunity and a lovely ball from Jez Lofthouse right into the middle. We're in stoppage time now. Laura Lee has had a couple of looks at her watch. She won't let too much extra time be added on, you wouldn't have thought. I imagine it'll be a standard 2/3 minutes. It's a full push from Christian Aloisi. He has had a couple of opportunities that have not been taken. Still yet to score a goal in the National Premier League Queensland Senior Football. Mooney. Byrne, who gets a push. Now Sanders chases Kai Trewin, but Trewin does well and goes back inside to Martin. The Raw Youth just playing out for time now. They're taking on North Queensland United at the Logan Metro Sports Ground in a fortnight's time. It's kept in at Boyce, but at what cost? Just a turnover of possession to James Kumineo. Mundy. Danny Byrne. Scored 59 National Premier League's Queensland goals for Olympics since 2013. Liverpudlian. is White. Lack of impetus. No need to keep it in the corner. The game is not tight particularly. May as well try and get another goal onto the tally. Here's Matt Mundy, plays the ball in towards Lofthouse. Lofthouse to the byline, crosses. There's two Olympic players falling over each other. Shelford Dias and Danny Byrne. Had one of them just made commitment. They are nice, those raw change jerseys, and I think Matt Mundy wanted a piece of Isaac Powell's. Tried to take it off his back almost. Lee alert to that. That's the wrong ball, but a slip at a very inopportune time for Kristen Waters almost allows Cyrus Demi to play into the ball. It did seem initially like the outlet ball to Christian Aloisi would have been better, but matters not. Olympic turn over possession, and it's going to go all the way over towards Kieran Sanders on that far side. Sanders has White on the outside. Sanders just over the top. A poke, nothing more. Lauralee's had enough. Olympic have had enough. They've won this game by 3-0. A comfortable victory in the end. It was a frenetic game at times. The Raw Youth did throw plenty at the Olympic defence and showed off their pace and youthful exuberance in trying to get forward. Some real flashes of skill from Leighton Brooks. Christian Aloisi had a couple of opportunities as well, but apart from that, it was all fairly comfortably dealt with by Nick Mooney, Christian Waters, Steve White, Jack Glover and James Kumineo. Jez Lofthouse it was who opened the scoring in the 17th minute after Macklin Freak saved at the feet of Zelfi Nazari. Alex Smith pulled the ball back to Jez Lofthouse from the byline on the stroke of half-time. It was just behind Lofthouse, but Steve White was following up. That was the second goal for Olympic. And then Kieran Sanders added the third just 12 minutes or so into the second half to hand Olympic a comfortable 3-0 victory. They move back up to second, just 1 point behind the league leaders, Lions. Raw Youth, as we mentioned before, could be Kingmakers. They play Lions twice in the run-in due to some catch-up games. But as it is, they have failed to continue their impressive run of 2 wins and 2 draws in their last 4 matches and succumb to a 9th National Premier League's Queensland defeat of the season that will see them stay in 8th spot, unable to close the gap on Cairns. It's been a real pleasure to bring you this National Premier League Queensland game from Goodwin Park. I've been Simon Smale. Hope you join us next time on the Football Queensland Facebook page on YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out all the goals of the week and saves of the week on the Football Queensland Facebook page and across social media. Check out all the previews and reviews on footballqueensland.com.au and catch the highlights of all the matches from the weekend on the Football Queensland YouTube channel. It's been a real pleasure to bring you this game. Simon Smale signing off from Goodwin Park. This has been a double take production for Football Queensland. We hope you enjoy the World Cup final this evening and all your football across the week. That's all from me. Have a good Sunday afternoon.